Record. Okay, hi everyone. So we're on week 7 of the Nourish project, and we are switching tracks a little bit. We've been really focused in the intentional eating pillars of this program, and now we're going to sort of shift gear to more of like hormonal health stuff. So tonight we're talking about stress, burnout, how that affects your hormones, how it affects your weight loss goals, and what to do about it. We're just going to have 3 people in this group. Bibi and Lisa cannot make it tonight, so I'm recording for them. So I don't need to wait for anybody. So let's launch right into check-ins. It's because I know Miriam's at home with her little ones. Do you want to go first or last, Miriam?
Sorry, I can go first if you give me just one second.
So let's go Miriam, and then Caroline, and then Susan, okay?
Sorry. It's like dinner time, so it gets a little crazy. So check-in wise, I guess I would say, I'm progressing. I keep getting better every week, but the stress stuff is going to be good because we've had a sick baby for 2 weeks now, and we thought we were clear of it, but I took her back and her ear infection hasn't gone away, so just a lack of sleep. And then I went back to work, and that's piling up too. And I just feel like I keep telling people at work, I feel like I'm behind in life, just in general, like I'm trying to catch up on things. So I think the things that I think I wish I could do better is, I've been tracking, not 7 days a week, but I've still been, forcing myself to track. But I think that just because I haven't been mindful, like I haven't gone over my macros, and I think I've started to control the fat, because I think that was the big thing for, I would go way over the fat macros, but I'm not hitting my protein 100%. And I know that's really important, right? So that's the goal for me for next week, is hopefully we're on the mend. Can track all 7 days and try to hit my protein goal. And just, I don't know, I feel like when I get stressed, I don't just meat, like a lot of protein, like meat type stuff doesn't sound good to me. So I'm trying to figure out what other ways I can get protein in without eating too much meat. And obviously just with the lack of sleep, I just haven't had the energy to work out. But on the flip side, I guess wins, like I said, I'm tracking. I'm not going over my numbers, even though there's days where I'm like, I could just eat a whole piece of cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory, but I have not hit or submit on my order for DoorDash. So, I mean, I will allow, I think I allowed it once during the week versus like every day of the week. So I guess that's a win. And then just with the nice weather outside, I've been getting steps in. So I've been getting between 8 to 10,000 steps a day.
That is fantastic, especially with the weather here.
Yeah. So I guess a couple of wins. Yeah. And consistency is the big thing, right? For me, it's just being consistent. So
those are some big wins. And I know what it feels like to feel like you're just behind it, like everything in life, but dealing with back to work with a little baby, period, let alone a sick baby, like that is so much. So say big props on the wins that you are getting, and also just your mindset, the fact that you're like each week keeps getting better. And Caroline sent me, you sent me that, right, about all the days you could miss and still see. Yeah. I'll share that with you guys in the Facebook group tomorrow. But like the important thing I think I've emphasized every time I go through this course with new clients is you don't have to be perfect to see progress towards your goals. You just have to be consistent and keep coming back. And some days you'll hit it and some days you won't, but just that mindset that you have of like getting better and sticking with it is awesome. And with the protein, I was working on it today, but I didn't get a chance to do it because my baby was crying for an hour and a half straight. So she finally fell asleep at 5 o'clock for her like 3 o'clock nap. So I wrote out something for you guys that I'm calling the 10 protein commandments, that has like a lot of my rules and tips and tricks to help with getting protein without going over your fat numbers. So hopefully you will find that helpful. I will record it and post it tomorrow. So Miriam, you said your big goals for the week, hitting protein and tracking for 7 days, right? Those are really good goals.
And starting to get the workouts in.
Okay, good. It's honestly like the last important thing. Like I would much rather have you say, I took a nap, I got some sleep, and you know, I mean, obviously movement and workouts are really good, but if your body is exhausted and stressed out, which is, you know, what we're going to talk about tonight, it's just not really in a position that you need to add more stress to it from working out. But if you feel good and you feel like, oh, I want to do this, or it's going to be a stress reliever, then that's awesome too.
Okay. Sounds good. And I will say, like, knowing that I have this call every week and I'm accountable to you ladies, I feel like that motivates me. And then I think Annie, like, I see you logging in your stuff and I'm like, oh crap, I got to do it, you know? So
yes, good.
I think those two things are kind of, it's nice to have that motivation from you guys.
Yeah. The accountability is really huge, especially once, you know, we all know at a certain point, like now you guys know what to do. It's all about that accountability and, you know, the sense of community, like we're doing this together. We're all in this boat, moving in the same direction. Okay, good. Well, great check-in. I hope your baby feels better very soon. Caroline, how about you?
So the wins I'm gonna celebrate, I think, are actually like very well timed for this week's topic. So a couple things. 2 weeks ago, or during last week's call, I reported I did 2 back-to-back rest days because I was in upstate New York skiing with my mom for the weekend. And that just felt so good that I just like decided to take all of last weekend off from any kind of exercise. I timed it like to coincide with my high carb days, not really intentionally, but just like it's easier to eat more carbs on the weekend. And I got a massage Sunday night, and like, who's to say what the cause was, but I saw like the biggest jump on the scale this week on Monday, either Monday or Tuesday, which I wasn't expecting after the high carb days. And like one hypothesis is the rest was really helpful. I was in a really relaxed, my nervous system was happy. So that was a win. And another win is I felt very prepared from last week to come on this trip. I have like a little bag with protein powder, jerky, which I've never in my life eaten jerky. I was not expecting to like it, but it's actually pretty good. Some protein bars, and then where I'll be skiing, like they have, you know, regular, like a dining hall with eggs, and, you know, like I feel confident about eating. And I'm not that worried about like, if I don't track perfectly because I don't have scales and nutrition labels and like, I'm not the one making the food in the kitchen, like that's totally fine. I feel like I have a solid foundation with the macro balance plate, and I'm just going to go off of that. I may have written something else or more or less down when I did my check-in this morning, but I got up for my flight at like 3:30. So I'm sort of really like not grounded, and I'm 7-8 screws into getting this battery out. So,
yes, congratulations on that win as well.
So yeah, I think, you know, just like making this week an experiment and sort of sticking to the principles while I'm not cooking any food because I don't have a kitchen. And I get back next Tuesday. So like basically this whole week is this experiment.
That will be very interesting. And you didn't bring your scale, right? So you won't be weighing in?
No.
Yeah. So it'll be just interesting to hop on.
My scale is like glass. So
yeah.
if the computer didn't do well in my carry-on, I don't know that
right. Yeah.
would have done well.
No, I wasn't expecting you to. I just was thinking like, you know, to go essentially a week and then hop on and see. But you'll be able to tell if you just listen to your body also, like how you're feeling, how kind of like your energy is, how your gut feels, stuff like that.
Totally. And I'm sort of just thinking about like, just stick to the principles sort of in the way we did during the Nourish project, like macro balance plate, get the steps in, drink a lot of water. I'm on vacation, sleep,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it sounds like you're super prepared, and I love that you're like ready to have a great time, but also at the same time, you're like, I'm sticking like straight on the super highway towards my goals. So I think a lot of times what happens is people have all the tools they need, but then they get the mindset of like, well, I'm on vacation, so, and then they go off the rails.
Or it's going to be too complicated.
Yes.
So like, instead of doing anything, like I'll just do nothing. That would be more my like mindset slip up, like to, what Miriam was saying before, to what you were saying before, like, even if I just do like 50%, that's better than 0%.
Exactly. Yay. Okay. Awesome. Well, I hope you have a great vacation and when you get that computer fixed.
And I will say, I was very happy to get my steps in your beautiful airport. It has like a shopping mall in it.
It's nice. So yeah. Cool. And I like that they have a lot of the local restaurants have like outposts there. So you can kind of get a little like local flavor. And I'm glad everyone was nice to you too. They say Minnesota nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else, Caroline, before we go to Susan?
Nope.
No? Okay, awesome. Susan, hello. We can welcome back again, week 2.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I think I had a pretty good week overall. I'm still dealing with the aftermath of that surgery and, breathing, just having trouble breathing. I went cross-country skiing on Saturday and I couldn't go a couple miles and I just couldn't breathe, so that scares me a little bit. But I went to, unfortunately, she's going to have me try prednisone, which I will do, for a few days just to see if that helps. Because I have to go back to work on Friday too and fly. So that's always, yeah. Anyway, but I am feeling better, back to Pilates and the gym. I haven't done much with weights yet, but I'm trying to I average probably 7,000 steps a day. Probably I'll even get more when I go back to work because you're on your feet all the time. Yeah, but I think my biggest win is I am pretty good at tracking the macros now. I finally got them figured out.
I know that can be a big hurdle to get over in the beginning, a big learning curve.
And then putting everything in MyFitnessPal and trying to figure out how to put recipes in there. And yeah, so I have a 4-day trip starting on Friday, and I'm not going to bring all my food. I'll bring Carol and I, I'll bring snack, like protein bars and things like that I don't have to cook. But kind of, I have a 22-hour layover in Miami, so that's kind of fun. And then the trouble is, you want to go out with people and go to go out for dinner and just managing that. And I'm never one that overeats and over drinks. I just don't do that. So it's not a huge big deal, but it's just more being conscious of, ordering something that is healthier.
Yeah. And when you're doing that, it's all about that protein, like getting enough protein.
Yeah. And I probably will make some protein shakes or bring some protein powder along too.
Yeah, that's really super travel friendly. Protein powder that you could just shake up and, add water and shake up. Beef sticks or like turkey sticks. Were you the one who said you have like a company that you get like really?
Yeah, I'll put it in the Facebook group. It's called Nick's Sticks. And
I had it written down.
And it's on Amazon, and they're really pretty healthy. And I just ordered some more today, and I saw they had kind of a keto protein bar too that looks pretty good. So I ordered some of those.
Good.
Got pretty good reviews, so I'll try those. They had like, I don't know, 20 grams of protein in them or something. So yeah, so it's just getting the protein. I don't know. I think, this will be a trial to see if I can do this while I'm working.
Yeah, that definitely will. And I think the more that you can think about what you might come up, what barriers kind of might pop up, like what's probably going to happen and then what might happen, and kind of just go through those scenarios, the more prepared you can be, like the better it's going to go. And it'll feel so good to come back from that trip and be like, wow, like I did it. Like you know, and again, like I said, it doesn't have to be 100%, but 80%, 100% of the days is going to get you really far towards that.
Yeah.
Towards that goal.
I think my bigger issue is I don't eat enough. And that's my biggest thing I struggle with.
Yes.
It's
And
really
that's
hard for me to get all of these in. I
Mhm.
don't get hungry. I feel like I'm just eating and I don't enjoy it, you know,
Mhm.
because I'm just not used to eating this much, and my stomach, you know, I get full and like, oh, I don't want to eat anymore.
Yeah.
So
That is really
Yeah.
common for like about probably a third to half of my clients, where they
Yeah.
actually need to eat more.
And I know
calories
it's from
to
screwing
do
up my metabolism. Oh, and the other thing I did, Monday I had an appointment with a functional medicine doctor here in Minneapolis, and she took a bunch of blood, and so she's running all kinds of, hormones, thyroid, everything. So I'm really curious to see how that comes out, because I've been the same weight for years, and I even did that lemonade fast thing that you do, with cayenne and stuff. I remember doing that once for 7 days, and I didn't lose a pound. So, my body is pretty stuck at this
Mhm.
weight.
Yeah.
I'll be
So
curious what she's like, if the hormones
yeah.
are.
And I know you said you're getting frustrated by the spreadsheet. But if I can look in your MyFitnessPal, I can see what you're eating and give you some
Yeah.
specific recommendations. That's why I have everyone use it to track.
Yeah.
What is your username? I remember it wasn't like,
I think it's under, I have so many email accounts. I think that one is Violet Rain.
okay, it's not Susan, which I was looking for.
No, it's Violet Rain.
Okay.
For some reason, it got put under that email, and
Okay.
kind of a weird name, I know.
Is it like a Prince reference or something?
No, when I had my clinic, one of my staff made that as a email.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look on that. And and if you want to do like a quick call, we could do a Zoom like this and share a screen, and I could show you like the spreadsheet, and maybe if we just spend like 5 minutes looking at it together.
I think that, it's just, I just get confused by how to do the calculations and stuff.
Let's do that then. I'll send you a message of like a couple times I could do that, because I don't think it would take that long, but it's, there's some things that I think being in person, could easily show you that. Let me just make a note. Okay. Without further ado, I really want to keep us on time tonight. So I am going to go into the slides. I'm going to share my screen. Like I said, we are going to be talking about stress, burnout, and your hormones. Let's take a second. There we go. And tomorrow I'm going to share when I, send the follow-up email with the recording and everything. I'm going to start also giving you guys the slides, as well as the recording, in case you want to go back and look at specific slides. And the old ones from the calls we've already had, I'll just link those all in the resource library, so you can always have access to all of those. But there's a book that I highly, highly recommend, that a lot of this comes from. It's literally called Burnout. And then the subtitle is The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. I know Lisa just read this on my recommendation. Has anyone else already read it? You read it, Caroline? Okay. So a lot of this stuff might sound familiar to you. If you haven't read it, highly super recommend. And then I also will share a podcast that goes more in depth in other aspects of burnout. Okay, so we've been talking so far really in the pillar of nutrition, intentional eating, and we've sort of been looking at this pyramid of calories, macros, micronutrients, which we're going to talk about next week, NEAT activity, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, that means steps and movement, exercise, and then very light writing is TEF, the thermic effect of food. That just means whole unprocessed food, high protein, high fiber, high water, burns more calories as your body digests it than processed food. So these are very important things in terms of fat loss and your metabolism, how it deals with food inputs and stuff like that. But it's not the only thing. The other thing that's very important is all of our hormones. And I'm not going to talk about all of them tonight because there's tons and it's very complex, but throughout the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about tonight stress and your hormones. Later on, we're going to just talk for a whole night about sleep and how that affects your hormones. We're going to do another call on just women's health issues and estrogen and progesterone. But these things all really affect our metabolism and our body's ability to release stored body fat and to lose weight or to not lose weight. So cortisol and adrenaline are stress hormones that we're really going to be talking about tonight. So this quote, I like to say, stress makes you fat. But a more sensitive way to say that is what really happens is the female body interprets chronic stress or really, any stressor as a threat and holds on to body fat until it feels safe. And this is especially true for women more than men, that stress causes all kind of hormonal reactions inside our body, telling it to hold on to stored body fat, because as the safekeepers of next generations, women have to have enough body fat to bear children, to nurse babies, to sustain a pregnancy, stuff like that. And back generations ago, centuries ago, as we evolved, our body, the stress that was attacking it was mostly food related. It was either winter or a war or a famine or some kind of uncertainty. And so our body's evolutionary response to this stress is to hold on to stored body fat until it knows what's going on or it feels safe and it's able to release it. Now there's food everywhere, especially in the United States. There's a nutrient deficit, but like a calorie surplus everywhere. But our body hasn't really caught up to the fact that the stressors that are affecting us aren't possible starvation, possible famine, possible attack. It's text messages from our boss. It's the news cycle. It's war in Ukraine. It's pandemic. It's a baby crying. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. And they're not things that are anywhere remotely going to cut off our food supply, but our body doesn't know that. It hasn't gotten that update yet. So that's sort of, in a nutshell, the science behind why, in short, stress makes you fat. It's our body's evolutionary response to stressors and threatening things. Now, there is a certain point where stress is good. And I'm sure everyone can think of an example where you may be delayed on a project until the night before it was due, and then miraculously you were able to, punch it out in like 2 hours after you had delayed, procrastinated for 2 weeks. Or, maybe company or your mother-in-law is coming over to your house and you didn't know until like an hour beforehand, and you're able to clean up and pick up the whole house in like an hour. Maybe if you're a performer, you love that pressure of like taking a test or an athletic competition or something like that, where there's sort of the fire, under you to perform. So that kind of stress is called eustress, and it's on this increased curve where it's a good amount of stress that causes us to feel like a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of excitement, and ready to perform or to do what we need to do. If we have no urgency, no stress, a lot of times it's difficult to get anything done. And then we're down here, we're like, oh, my life's pretty boring. It's hard to even get off the couch, ho hum. But right here, it was kind of that good amount of stress where you're like, okay, I feel like a good amount of pressure to get this stuff done, to perform, to meet my goals, whatever. but then it crosses a boundary at some point. And where that some point is different for everyone, because stress is really in the eye of the beholder. And our bodies, some people are more used to high stress, high pressure situations. Some people are more used to high stress, heavy athletic training. And so that's not as much of a stressor. Some people are used to really like high pressure work situations. So that's not as much of a stressor, but wherever it is for you, you kind of start going into the downside of this curve where you go from eustress, the good stress, to distress, which is bad, too much. And you might start feeling like, oh, I'm exhausted, but like, it's okay. I'll push through it. And then more and more to like, I'm getting sick. Why am I always sick? And then boom, headed to a burnout and breakdown. And what I want for all of you is to become very aware of these signs where you're starting to feel like I'm approaching burnout, I'm approaching this breakdown, I'm having too much stress, and I'm going to back off to this good point, and then know how to do that. Because a lot of these stressors we can manage and we can get rid of through the practical tips that I'm going to talk about, but also a lot of them are never really going to go anywhere because it's just a reality of the 21st century. So we really need a good mix of being able to eliminate and decrease certain stress and certain stressors in our life, and then manage other ones so that we can deal with the ones that are not going to ever disappear, like our kids, our job, stuff like that is not really going anywhere unless you run off to Bali to be a yoga teacher. And then I'm sure there would still be like some other kind of stressor that would pop up. So one more thing about just the effects of stress. Our body really isn't able to differentiate between different kinds of stress. It just feels the burden. It's like Luisa's song from Encanto. Has everyone seen Encanto right now? I've seen it now already. Where it's like, I feel like it's like every woman's theme song where she talks about the pressure and the stress that's just like drip, 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 drip. It's always there. And she feels like she's going to break. Our body doesn't really know the difference between work stress, family demands, diet. Being in a caloric deficit is very stressful on your body, which is why I have everyone at a small deficit rather than a big deficit. So it's not super stressful on your body. Exercise can also be really stressful if your body is not used to it, or if you're doing too much, or if you're not resting. Again, like almost everything we talk about, it depends on you and how it works for you. Maybe you love the exercise and you're deep, like very well conditioned. So the same exercise that for you is great, it's your stress reliever, for someone else would be too much stress that would like put them over into burnout. Same thing with work. If you maybe like thrive on your work and you absolutely love it, that level of stress might be okay for you, but someone else might be like having a panic attack because of so much. So you really need to just be aware of kind of the warning signs, and also listen to your own body and how your body is responding. There are a lot of really negative effects, physical effects on your body from chronic stress, and just that's like your body being hit over and over and over again with stressors, little ones or big ones, and not being able to have that full rest and recovery period. So I will post this graphic, but to go a little bit more in depth, there's all kinds of health complications, which are obviously the most serious, right? Increased blood pressure, increased resting heart rate, up to a heart attack, heart palpitations, anxiety, depression. You might cause difficulty sleeping, and we haven't talked that much about sleep yet, but there's all kinds of other associated problems with lack of sleep, your ability to focus, your cravings, your hormones, again, going out of whack. So stress and sleep kind of go hand in hand. As I mentioned earlier, it signals to our body to hold on to stored body fat. So if weight loss or fat loss is your goal and you have this super high stress life, I've seen so many clients where it's just it's not happening. Or it goes exactly, they have like a relatively calm week at work, and then the scale goes down. They're, without changing their macros and nailing their macros, they have a super stressful week or day or two, and it goes up, and then the stress goes down and the scale goes down. It is really true. And it's pretty crazy how much the stress affects our weight and our body's ability to release the stored body fat when it feels safe and when it feels comfortable. And like Caroline said, I love that she had those 2 great days of rest, and she said like her nervous system was happy, and it was like, nah, bye. Bye, I don't need you anymore, I feel safe. So other physical effects of stress: lack of focus, lack of creativity, lack of productivity. So a lot of times people think like, oh, I don't have time to meditate, I don't have time to do this stress reliever, I don't have time. But you actually don't have time not to, because without it, it's going to be so much harder. If you're at this chronic high level of stress or approaching burnout, it's going to be very hard to focus and to be productive. And if you can manage or decrease that stress by getting out in nature, getting a good workout, meditating, whatever works well for you, you'll be able to get a lot more done in a very small amount of time, rather than just spinning your wheels because you're exhausted and stressed out. The other physical effect is changes in your appetite. And for some people, it could be increased hunger cravings. Sometimes it suppresses your appetite, so no cravings. It affects your hormones. So that's where people talk about adrenal fatigue a lot these days. I'm not going to go a ton into adrenal fatigue, but adrenal glands produce cortisol, which is the stress hormone, to give you like the wherewithal to go through something stressful. And it's good for a little bit, but if it's constantly like boom, 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 it's going to run out of the cortisol that is supposed to be producing, and throw your whole system out of whack. It also affects your hunger hormones and your satiate. I don't know how to say that, but your ghrelin and leptin hormones, which tell you when you're hungry and when you're full, those get out of whack also. So it also will suppress your immune system, which in this age of COVID and cold and flu season, like that is the last thing anybody wants. So you can boost your immune system by dealing with the stress. So in short, really, stress causes physical effects on every part of your body, every major system of your body, and most of them are not good physical effects. Okay, so any questions about that before I move on? No? Okay, so moving on a little bit further to burnout, which is so common in women professionals and business owners. I hear it all the time from women. I'm exhausted. Just I will go over some of the signs of it if you're on the way to burnout or already burned out. But some of the top 3 official symptoms would be feeling of exhaustion, like you don't have the energy to do anything besides lay on the couch and watch Netflix and maybe drink a glass of wine. And like Miriam was saying, she was tired and didn't feel like working out. Well, of course. And also, what else takes a lot of energy? Cooking healthy food, tracking your macros, drinking water, all that stuff. You feel like you just don't even have the energy for it. And you'll probably have the urge to just reach for the fastest, easiest thing, or too tired to even get up and go to bed. If anyone's ever had that feeling where they're just like, oh, it's so much work to get up and brush my teeth, I'm just going to lay here and watch another show. Yeah, Caroline's raising her hand. So that kind of feeling, but like pervasive, ongoing, like every day is just like, ugh, again. Another symptom is feeling increased mental distance from your job or negative feelings towards one's career. And that's where I sort of joked about running away to Bali to teach yoga. But this actually is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about what I do, because we need women to stay in these careers and break through the glass ceilings and represent like our next generation and do good things for our planet, we cannot all get burned out of important careers and businesses and leave careers or professions that we were once passionate about. So, rather than waiting until you hit rock bottom, which I've seen a lot of people do, especially in the legal field, if you can recognize these signs, it's Caroline's laughing, I'm sure if you can recognize these signs and symptoms and start applying some of these practical tips to manage and decrease stress, is so much better for your health and being able to stay in career or the field that you love. And then a third sign and symptom is reduced professional productivity. So in other words, just spinning your wheels, feeling like you don't have the creativity, you don't have the focus, you're just like spending a lot of time, not really getting anything done. So those are 3 signs that you might be approaching burnout or you're already there. Here's 6 more, like those are like the official symptoms, but these I think are ways where you can really identify it and give you some things to do about it. So number 1, like I said, your passion or creativity is zapped. You like can do the things that are on autopilot, but if it comes to like coming up with a new idea or a new program or writing something might feel painfully difficult, or like every word is like, oh, can't do this. That is definitely a sign. Again, working crazy hard, but you can't really identify any results. You're just sort of spinning your wheels and spending a lot of time not doing much. This one should be a little bit obvious, but your body telling you that it's tired. Have you ever met people, or maybe you've experienced this self, where you just always feel like, oh, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Like, we're not meant to be that way. Like, we're meant to wake up with energy and have enough energy to complete a bedtime routine and then go to bed without dragging ourselves there. So that full body tired is very, very common, but it's really a sign of burnout rather than something that we should accept as normal. And I think as women, we really tend to sort of like earn our worth through productivity, especially if you're, caring for your family, doing stuff in the community, doing your business, your career. It's like, go, 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 go. And we wear this busyness as a badge of honor. Like, I'm so busy. These are all the things that I did. And we need to really move away from that mindset where it's okay to not be busy. It is okay to rest. It is okay to have nothing on your to-do list, or to have a giant to-do list and decide to take a nap. But if your body is saying it's tired, it is time to listen to it and go to bed, take a nap, do a lot of these things to reverse course away from headed towards burnout. You feel ready to quit and throw the towel if you're like, one more thing and I'm out of here, right? Like, it should not feel like that about a job or a career that you previously loved. If you feel like your job, your career, your business has taken over your life, you're always working, you're always responding to emails, you're getting text messages at all hours of the day, you're working on the weekends, that's a sign you're headed towards burnout. Weekends and rest time is really, really important. And I know a lot of you in this group have athletic backgrounds and some high level athletes. And so maybe you remember, as an athlete, your recovery time is as important as when you're performing, when you're on. And it's the same with life. You cannot just be on all the time. You need to play like a boss, rest like a boss. You need to work like a boss. You need to rest like a boss. It is so, so important that you have those boundaries and have your rules, whatever it is, protecting your nights, your weekends, your fun Friday, whatever it is. You need to have that time away from your job. Not only the time, but maybe it's some outside interest. Maybe it's, friends or special people, hobbies, activities, something other than your work. So it's not the only thing you're always thinking about. And then the last thing is if you have zero boundaries, and this is sort of what I was talking about, like working weekends, responding to work emails, you know, using your personal phone and text message for work stuff, that is a very good way to head towards burnout fast. Like we really need to set those boundaries, and that's where it's different for everyone. Maybe it's dinner hour, maybe it's after 8 o'clock you don't respond to anything, maybe you just turn your phone off, you know, maybe it's just the mere fact of not bringing your phone or your tablet into your room, into your bed, and getting an old-fashioned alarm clock so it's not the first thing you look at when you wake up. Whatever those boundaries are that work for you, like only you know that, but it's important to have some that are protecting your energy, because you're the only one that's going to be able to protect your own energy. No one else cares. I care. I care, but your boss doesn't care. You know, I mean, maybe your boss does care if you have a great boss, but I mean, our, you know, businesses, our clients, like they don't know. Everyone has their own agenda. So you really have to protect yours, you know, with unapologetically protect those boundaries, have those boundaries so you know what you're protecting, and then do it guilt-free, because you deserve to rest, you deserve to have a life, you deserve to have downtime where you're not being productive. And if you don't have those things, we're going to be headed towards burnout, where you're going to be out of commission for much longer than a Sunday, or you know, turning your phone off for one night to enjoy time with your family or something like that. Okay, so now I'm going to turn to some very practical tips of, okay, stress is always going to be there. What can you do about it? And this, the authors, they're sisters, Emily and Amelia Nagoski, they go really into depth in this in the burnout book. So it's one reason I highly recommend it. But there's sort of two pillars that we're going to talk about. Number one is decreasing the stressors, like, so basically controlling what we can, decreasing certain stressors. And then step two is managing the stress that we essentially can't get rid of, those stressors that are still there and that are always going to be there. So step one is decrease the stress in your life. Setting boundaries, like we talked about, scaling back. Maybe you have the capability in your job or in your business to say, like, you know, I'm not going to take on that many clients. I'm not going to volunteer for this assignment. I'm not going to do this extra thing. I'm going to see if I can work maybe 4 days a week instead of 5. There's no rule that everyone needs to work 40 hours a week, 5 days a week. That is, first of all, a maximum that was, or that, you know, that was really hard fought by unions. And most people who are professionals or business owners are actually working a lot more than that, not even, you know, taking advantage of those protections that people fought for a long time ago. So if it's possible, can you scale back? Can you work less? Can you take on a little bit less? Number three, really work hard to respect the weekend, or at least take a day of rest. And it doesn't have to be Sunday. It doesn't have to be, you know, an official Sabbath. Maybe it's Saturday, maybe it's Friday, but it's so important to take a day or even more, maybe the whole weekend, and rest. And you can't rest if you're like running around doing errands and working extra and doing a workout and doing all this other stuff and volunteering. That's not resting. That's doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So make sure you are respecting the weekend. I know right now spring is coming, COVID restrictions are being lifted, and there's like this huge push and a desire to like do social events with everyone, and everyone's like, yeah, let's go outside, let's go to this happy hour, let's do that. But really be mindful as you say yes to stuff. How is that going to affect your energy? Do you really want to say yes to everything? Maybe it's just like 1 or 2 things per weekend, and the rest you have blocked off for resting, or for taking a quiet walk in nature, or for doing like a yin yoga class, or something that's really going to be restorative, rather than, you know, draining your energy when you need to be like recharging for the week. Saying no, your friends and family will understand. Might be a shocker at first if you're sort of like a yes woman, people pleaser, but say no, say it's with, unapologetically, delegate or outsource. There may be things other people in your family can be doing. There may be things you can pay someone to do, clean, cook, order takeout, stuff like that. Maybe there's just stuff that doesn't really need to be done and could just be pushed off till later. Also, a big thing you can do to decrease stressors, and I know it's hard right now, although I've been saying that for 2 years, is turn off the news. The 24-hour news cycle is just really stressful. And the way the news works is their job is to have these attention grabbing headlines and stories at all time. And the way our brain works is it is always scanning for danger. It's always looking, what do I need to be worried about? What do I need to be concerned about? Scanning, scanning, scanning. So when your brain locks onto those headlines where they're trying to get the viewers and get the ratings, and your brain is looking out for danger, that's how you get sucked into watching hours of CNN coverage of war or the pandemic or whatever. And the truth is, you don't need to be immersed in the news in order to be educated about what's going on. Maybe, set your personal boundaries or limits of like, I'm going to listen to this podcast or read this paper or watch this much of the news every day so that I do know what's going on, and then turn it off. And try not to watch the news right before you go to bed, because it's gonna, like I said, it's those attention grabbing, like really kind of like triggering headlines and information that's going to get you all riled up before you go to bed. Along with that, you can, focus on controlling your environment, turning off devices, phones, TVs, doing some sort of digital detox once in a while. And then on the flip side, you can control your environment by adding candles, adding soft lighting, adding, those pink salt lamps, adding essential oils, things that are just going to be like make your home into your own personal sanctuary, your own kind of haven, like a little spa, like oasis for you to come and retreat from everything that's going on in the outside world. And then the last thing I already talked about is just a mindset shift of rejecting that busyness as a badge of honor and embracing rest and being okay with saying, I'm not doing anything today. My goal is to take a nap. I'm not doing that load of laundry, whatever it is, and being okay with it. You're still enough if you don't do everything on the to-do list. And in fact, you'll be so much happier and healthier. You'll be better for everyone that is around you in your life. Okay, any questions about that before I move on? Okay, cool. So part 2 is even, we do all the stuff to like decrease stress and turn our home into a beautiful little yogi retreat sanctuary and turn off the news, etc. We don't live in a bubble. So there's some stressors we're never realistically going to be able to get rid of, such as our boss, our job, our kids, like all those things that are making demands on us every day. So in that case, step 2 is to manage the stressors that are in our life so that we can deal with those stressors, deal with our kids, deal with our family, deal with our work colleagues and our boss or our clients, whatever it is, with joy and ease, so that we're not just like a frazzled, bag of nerves when someone asks us for one little thing and all of a sudden you're snapping. So this is, to me, really interesting. And I've also had clients do this, like intentionally do these steps, and they've reported back that it really makes a difference, and they can feel like a physical difference in their body and feel like a decreased stress level. So what it is called completing the stress cycle. And like when I talked about evolutionary response, our body back in caveman days, we'll just call it, evolved where our stressors were physical, right? So either it was like famine or something like that, or it was like an attack by a different tribe, or it was like an animal attack, something like that would be the stressor. And then there would be like a physical release, like maybe you would attack the animal or go hunt the bear or whatever. You'd have to like drag it back to your village. And then everyone would celebrate, they'd hug you, you'd cook the animal and you'd feast and everyone would be happy. So there's the cycle of stressor, physical release, safety, and happiness. And so what we need to do is complete that cycle as it makes sense in the 21st century. Because the way most people deal with it is they get all these stressors. It's not just one bear attacking once in a while, it's the phone notification going off and the Slack going off and the news and this and that and the pandemic and should I wear a mask? And now my mother-in-law's calling. It's like on and on and on and on, and all those stressors just build up stress hormones in our body and they just sit there because most of us live a pretty sedentary life. So what we need to do is number 2 after the stressors is get that physical release. That is why exercise, I believe, is so important for our mental health, even as much as it is for our physical health. But you don't have to do a formal workout. But I think we've all known how good you feel after a good workout. Actually remember Caroline and I went to a workout in New York once called The Class, where at the end it was like 25 white women in Lululemon who were like pounding on the ground, like screaming this like primal scream. And it felt so good. And that's the kind of release that you need. So it could be screaming into your pillow. It could be like pounding a pillow. It could be like playing, whatever is your favorite song, and maybe like Taylor Swift, Shake It Off, or maybe it's like rap, or maybe it's like something you can just like belt out and just like get that physical release, get those stressors out of your body. They have really cool things now. I've never been to them, but I think they're called, they're like rooms where you pay and you go into it, you get like a
Break
sledgehammer.
rooms.
Yes.
Break
And you can
rooms.
like, yes, I think that would be so amazing for this purpose. But it doesn't end there. The third part of the cycle. So number 1 is the stressors going in. Number 2 is the physical release. The third part is really important. And even if we're exercising or, screaming or whatever, you have to remember to do the third part, which is now telling your body, okay, you're safe. Okay, you're safe. Okay, you can calm down. And that is the step that once those stress hormones are cleared out of the body, it's going to release oxytocin and other safety hormones. So your body's like, oh, okay, whew, we're safe. That's over. I feel good now. So the way you can do that is by snuggling with other humans, kiddos, dogs, pets are really great for this. A weighted blanket is a really good option for this. If you, live by yourself and you don't have easy access to snuggles. I don't want this to sound weird, but like human touch that you pay for, like massage, is really good. Now, obviously you're not going to get a massage every day, but if you don't regularly have like a human to snuggle with, having those loving touch on your body can be really good for you physically and emotionally. Snuggling with pets is a great one. And then another one, this is from a former client of mine, but it makes so much sense. If you don't have any of that, you don't want to snuggle with anyone, you don't have a weighted blanket, planning out your next day, because it puts you back in control of the situation. And that's a very safe feeling. So it may be just writing your to-do list. It may be going through your schedule, but something that makes you feel centered and in control can also really help with that safety trigger. Okay. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Last thing I have, this is the last thing, and then I'll stay on if anyone has questions, but these are just overall sort of a brain dump of, practical tips to both decrease and manage your stress and the stressors that we haven't already talked about tonight. So one, is switching longer cardio sessions for shorter, more intense lifting. Lifting is a lot less stressful on your body than like steady state type of cardio or high intensity cardio. Swapping like high intensity HIIT type of workouts for yoga, just that gentle stretching may be what your body needs rather than another hard workout, especially if you are living that high stress life. Prioritizing sleeping more and sleeping better, creating healthy boundaries and enforcing them unapologetically. You do not have to apologize for anyone. There is not selfish to have boundaries for protecting your energy or protecting whatever you need. Taking actual rest days, both active, maybe just going for a walk in nature or stretching or like an easy yoga class, or just very passive days, of really getting a lot of sleep and rest and maybe just what your body needs. Meditating is a great one. Digital detox in combination with any of these other ones, like the rest days or, your meditation. It can feel very strange at first to turn your phone off. I would recommend telling, your key people that you're going to be doing it so they don't worry and you don't worry that they're worried and then spend your whole time, being concerned about that. But that can be just really powerful to just calm your nervous system down. Controlling your environment with music, candles, essential oils. So often just, to me, putting on a certain playlist with a certain energy or vibe that I like and lighting a candle, it changes everything. Saying no to anything that's not a hell yeah. And it's okay if it's, your friend who you want to see and you said, you know what, I'm just too busy. Or if you say, I don't want to add anything more to my plate right now. Sometimes, we can take on more, or we technically don't have plans, or we technically could do another project if you work late, but you also can just say no, and that's okay. You don't have to apologize. You don't even have to explain why. Some other ones people don't really think of to decrease or manage stress are creative outlets. And if you say, oh, I'm not really that creative, there's a lot of like adult coloring books now, or art or puzzles. That can be a really nice way to decrease stress and to sort of turn off your the other side of your brain for a while. And a really big one, a big one, is to make sure you are tapped into your deeper passion and your purpose, so that what you're spending your time doing is aligned with what you want your impact on this earth to be, that you don't feel like, oh, I'm wasting my time. This job is, doing nothing. Really making sure that you are doing something that fulfills you. That is a really good way to actually manage stress at a very deep level. And then the last thing I say this, and it's a hard one, is to ask for help and then accept help when people offer. I know, when I was pregnant and then when we had the baby, and, maybe Miriam has gone through this too, so many people offered things. And I was like, oh no, I can do it. I can just do it all, and they, can I do a load of laundry? I'm like, no, can I wash dishes? No, and there's no need. Like, I sort of forced myself to accept help, and I'm definitely still working on it, but asking for help and accepting help, because we are really not meant to do this life alone. We're meant to live in community with each other, to serve each other, to help each other, and to accept help. And that is another way to decrease stress, is to feel connected to other human beings. So either by helping or by asking for and receiving help, it's a very deeply satisfying sort of oxytocin hit, where you're decreasing stress at that deeper level. Okay, ladies, that is all that I have. Everything about stress. I will send you the link to the podcast and the book tomorrow. Before we go, if you guys just have a minute, I would love to just go around and have everyone share maybe just one or two things that you think you could do to either decrease stress or manage the stress in your life that you can't get rid of. How do you feel about that? Let's start Caroline and Susan, and then Miriam, if you can come back on.
I don't know. It's very hard for me to say because my computer's still not working and I have that like panic feeling, and I'm in a moment right now.
Okay.
But I think like just breathing and keeping my nervous system calm when this happens, because like there's only so much that can
Yeah.
be done. And I'm supposed to be on vacation anyway. And it was
Yes.
just like, I was talking to one of my coworkers earlier, and he was like, how do you have this much on your plate right now when you're on vacation? And I said, we're short staffed, and the alternative to me not taking some work on vacation with me would have been, I would have had to cancel my trip, which you were in the law firm world for long enough to know that like that happens. It shouldn't be happening in government, but my office has been operating more like a law firm. So it's like the perspective too of, even though this sucks, like it's better than the alternative of having, had to cancel a trip that has been booked for a year.
Yes. And, you'll hopefully get it fixed, get it done, and then just be able to enjoy your conversation.
Right. So for me, it's like using my breath to like calm my nervous system and then walking myself back off the cliff because I need to do something.
Yeah. I love that you said that. I realized that wasn't even on my list, but just the act of sitting up tall and taking that big, like I feel my energy state shift just doing like one breath, let alone a couple, deep breaths. So that's great. Susan, how about you? Miriam had to log off, so it's just
really all of those things. I'm kind of at the other end of the spectrum from you guys. I've had the career of the business, I've run it, I've had the kids, I've had the big house, all of that, parents, and I'm kind of at a point where I can take a day off. When I go on a 4-day trip, I'll take the next day off. And there's days I don't get out of bed. I just let myself watch Netflix or whatever, But really everything you say is just really, I just, from my end of the spectrum, I would just encourage you guys to it's not that important, in the long run, it doesn't. I can't remember what happened 30 years ago, but you want the time with your kids, you want that special time. And even when I was, I had my practice and stuff, I still was really good about taking vacations and Friday afternoon off and stuff like that. So, I have stress in my life, but I feel like I can, I'm really lucky. I'm really fortunate where I am right now.
Yeah.
That, I can, my stress is more just because I put too much in my schedule that I wouldn't even have to do. But yeah, and going to the gym and, all of that. So everything you said is just really right on. And I just hope that you guys do it.
Yeah. It's a lot of times it's easy to say, but hard, like all of this, it's easy to say, but putting it into practice is really why we're here. For me, I heard this from another life coach that I listened to her podcast, and she practices taking fun Fridays. And she said, and I started doing that before I was pregnant, and I was like, and I felt guilty. Like, I don't need to take Fridays off. Like, I don't have kids or, whatever, but I just started doing it. And I was like, okay, I work Saturdays. So it's not even like I work a 4-day week. Like I have clients on Saturdays, which I don't want to always have, but right now I do. But now with the baby and with spring, I'm going back to that. And I feel this urgency to work to rebuild my business, like every second that she's sleeping, like every second she's in a nap is critical. And so my commitment is, and I'm telling this to you guys, taking fun Fridays and doing something fun with her. We already go to the gym. She goes to daycare at the gym, which she loves. And then go for a walk, go to the playground, go to the zoo, something like that. Or if it's a day like today, just snuggle up and watch a movie. It's nice because on Saturdays, like my husband's off work and Freddie's here, and it's like, it's different than just having a day with her and me and just playing like in a very calm, easy way, and not even to ask anyone like, what do you want to do? It's more just like, we're going to the pool today, something like that. So
I think it's really good that you give yourself, you said something last week, like, you feel guilty just snuggling with her on the couch. And I just don't want you ever to feel that way. I mean, she's going to be little such a short time.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for reminding me of
you're
that.
not going to remember it. And I mean, I was so busy when my kids were little. I went to chiropractic school with 2 kids as a single mom, and I just all that stuff that I did. It's important, but looking back at it now, like it wasn't that important. Time with them is more, and I feel that way now. I mean, now my priority is, now my kids are in that, so they're so busy that I have to really beg for time, to do things with me. And I keep telling them, well, you're gonna have more time without me than you're gonna have with me. I mean, like, but yeah, just really taking what's important, and the rest isn't that important. The stuff, the getting things, the money, it's just not that important.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, on that note, we'll go mic drop for Susan. And I'm gonna log off. You guys have a great night, and I will
You have fun skiing.
Yes, Caroline, have fun.
Oh man, wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.